Good evening, I'm Joe Welch, I'm the president of the Esports Board of Education. I'd like to welcome you to this work session scheduled for October 27th. This is not a business meeting, it is a work session. The first request is a point of personal privilege, Ms. Byers.
Hello. I would just like to note for anybody that might be listening out there that I know it's tough times financially for a lot of families, but tomorrow, October 28th, from 4:30 to 6:30, the Northeast Church of Christ, which is located right on Stone Drive at the entrance to Preston Forest, is giving away free food to families. And each family that goes will receive up to 100 pounds of free food. And that is in conjunction with Second Harvest, and I'm sorry, I don't know the other organization, but so if anybody's in need, no questions asked, feel free to stop by the Northeast Church of Christ between 4:30 and 6:30 tomorrow afternoon.
Thank you, Ms. Byers. Appreciate that point of information. Over the course of the next few months, I have requested a brief presentation be given to the board in our work sessions by each of the schools to give us a better environmental scan of what's happening in each of those schools and what they're made of. And in addition to that, I've also asked that one of our work sessions this year will be the budget meeting where the principals make their budget requests known. And so I didn't want that to be the first opportunity that you had to chat with us. And the other part of that is, after they do that, I kind of threw another question in the mix, that if $25,000 fell into your lap to do anything you wanted to do in your particular school, exactly how would you spend that $25,000? And so tonight we're going to hear from John Adams and Ross Robinson, and I want to welcome the principals to our work session. Thank you for having to come out tonight and communicate with us in this way. That I think this will be a good learning opportunity for all of us on board, and also for those of you who are joining us on YouTube Live. We welcome you here this evening. I know they didn't flip a coin or anything like that to see who would go first. So Kelly won it by part of the agenda. So this is Dr. Kelly Harrell, and she will be telling us about John Adams Elementary School. Ms. Harrell, the floor is yours. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So as Dr. Harrell said, I also wanted to just draw attention. This is an opportunity for me. Also, is that the two schools that we're selecting are coming. The principals at both of those schools are relatively new.
Okay.
And so it's a chance for our board to get to interact with some of our new principals. We're super excited to have Dr. Harrell to be part of our school system. Dr. Harrell came to Kingsport after leading Ridgeview Elementary in Washington County, but she came on board last year. We just hadn't had an opportunity to get her in front of you with everything, but we're super excited to have her. She's already hit the ground running, has already made great connections with the other principals in the school system. And so, again, this gives me a chance to say, welcome to Kingsport, and we'll let you talk about the building.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here tonight. I'm very happy to be part of Kingsport City Schools and thankful for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I will be brief, but I want to share a few things about John Adams. So we are a growing school for sure. We're up to 510 students in pre-K through 5th grade. We have students from 6 weeks old through the end of 5th grade. When the school opened 11 years ago, there were around 200 students, 1 to 2 teachers per grade level. So we have grown tremendously. Just a few statistics about our school. Our attendance rate is 96.7%, so we're happy with that. We want to get it above 97. We serve 21.8% of our students are economically disadvantaged, and about 10% of our students receive special education services. So just a little bit of the makeup of our student body.
Can I pause you right there? So they're at full capacity. Okay, they're at that. So as we think about the rezoning, things that are on the future, that's going to be one of those areas that we're going to have to think about what families are we serving at that particular school? Because it used to be we had to get a far reach to be able to fill the school, right? Where our reach isn't having to be as far to fill the school, as we think moving down the road.
Every classroom in our building is full, and 2 of our labs are also classrooms, so we are definitely at capacity. Just a little bit about what makes John Adams special, and I think I would start by saying it's the people there. This is a picture that I was walking through the classroom this morning, and I thought this tells the story of John Adams. And I think the story of every school and what makes this school special are the people who spend their days there. So we're very thankful for amazing teachers and staff members, and we have wonderful families who support us. But some of the things that we do that are a little different at John Adams, our social emotional learning and our character building program is called John Adams Pride. And that stands for personal best, respect, integrity, determination, and extraordinary. And those are just some of the character traits that we want to make sure our students live by each day. And we really work to focus on those and to help make sure that our students can fulfill those in their daily activities. Our PTA is very involved. We have a large group of parents who support us. They fundraise and help us to get things that we may need that we can't purchase through school budgets. If you've ever had the opportunity to experience our headliner choir, they are quite amazing. They do a fabulous job. We are in a little bit of a struggle with choir this year and figuring out how that looks with COVID, but we will be back as strong as ever, and they do such an amazing job. We have a couple of different teachers who offer robotics opportunities to all of our grade level. Students are really excited about that and enjoy spending their time doing those types of activities. And the last thing that I listed was just our student leadership team. They make a lot of decisions for our school, and we're thankful for that. We have both 4th and 5th graders on that team, and I meet with them monthly. Mrs. Marlowe is with them. She meets with them. Mrs. Arnold, our associate principal, someone is with them monthly talking about things that we need to focus on and really building leadership qualities in those students. So that's an important part of what we do at Adams. Some of our strengths, our student achievement is above state and district averages in all subject areas. So we're very thankful for that. Again, parent involvement is strong, and social emotional learning through our Pride program, I feel like we do a really good job in those areas. Some of the areas where we are focusing, we want to always focus on student growth. Our students achieve at really high levels, but it is our job to make sure that we also continue to make sure those students are growing, and that's something that we are focused on every single day. Again, we're focused on reading achievement. We do want to see those scores increase, and I will talk to you a little bit about that as we move through this little presentation. And we also need to work on closing gaps for our special education students and our economically disadvantaged students. And we're in a little bit of a unique situation because those are very small populations in our school. So we have to make sure that we are focusing on them each and every day. Just a little bit, I wanted to pull a little bit of data in. These are reading and math scores from the last time we took our Teen Ready test in 2019. If you look at reading and math at the state level, you can see there's only about a 2% difference, a 2-point difference in the two subjects. If you look at KCS scores, you can see that there's about a 5-point difference between reading and math. When you look at John Adams scores, there's over a 20-point difference in reading and math. And when I first came into Kingsport City Schools and to John Adams, that really stuck out to me, and that was something that I knew that I wanted us to focus on. And we've been doing that for about a year and a half now, almost a year and a half. And some of the things that we are doing to make sure that we're improving those areas, and I tied this into the question of how can we improve our school with $25,000. We talk about every single day, we use the words that we are on a mission to create a culture of reading and a culture of readers. Because we are very unhappy with the fact that 50% of our students are performing at proficient on our state testing experiences. So we want to improve that. So the pictures that you see on this page, and I will talk through them just a little, these are things that we have already done on this journey in the past year. We're really working to motivate students to read because we feel like if we can, if you want to be a good baseball player, you practice baseball every day. If you want to be a good reader, you practice reading every day. And we're really building that motivation in our students. Those top 2 photos are some work that our PTA had done over the summer. We wanted to add excitement around reading in our library, and we added some murals there. And the middle picture that just looks like a bunch of file folders, we wanted to make sure that we had a magnitude of books to send home with students each and every day. And we want to look at two different types of reading. We want to make sure that students are reading high interest reading, they're reading books at all levels, but they're also reading books on their independent level so that we can grow them and meet them right where they are. So those two middle pictures, those are some books that we've ordered. The yellow picture there is a zipper pouch that all 510 students in our school have that they take home each and every day, where they store all of the books that they're reading, all of the choices they have to read from. That has made an impact with parents in saying, you know, we think this is important. We have purchased these things. This comes home with your child daily. And a lot of parents have told me that has really spoken to them about how important we find that 20 minutes of reading each and every night. And just a couple of other pictures we're focusing there at the bottom left. Intervention is something that we are really focused on refining. We have a lot of people in our building who provide intervention services to students who struggle each day. Very proud of the progress we've made there in a year. We're still working on that. And then just some other motivational things that you would see around our school if you came to visit. And if we were able to, if you handed me a check tonight for $25,000, which I would not mind, you can send it at any time. And some of the things that our literacy committee is focused on for this coming school year, we still need to increase the number of books that we have in our school. Our school library is very efficient, but we want kids to have in the school library, students check out 2 books a week. We want students to have 8 to 10 books in those pouches that they're taking home, because we want to make sure that they have every opportunity to read anytime they have an extra minute. So we would like to purchase books, specifically books that we would send home with students, because those don't last as long. They are in and out of the building a lot, so they do have a lot of wear and tear. So we could certainly use some more books. Something that I hope that we will be able to purchase before the year is over, really to focus on building motivation for reading. That picture on the upper right, that's a book vending machine. And that is something that we found last year, and we have our heart set on that. Our PTA is working to help us with that. But you don't have money for this book vending machine, but you would get a token. So we would tie that to our Pride program and really use reading as a reward for doing the things that we are supposed to do each and every day. And that bottom picture, we, again, are focused on intervention and making sure that any student who is struggling is on grade level by the time that they leave our school. And the district has provided us with quite a few intervention resources. We could still use more of those. That box in the picture at the bottom, that is a Fountas and Pinnell red level literacy kit. We do not have the red kit, and we would like to get that. That little box costs about $5,000, but it is worth every penny. So that is something else that we would want to do if you handed me a check. And I'll just close by saying thank you for all that you do to support our students and our schools, and for having me here tonight. Again, I'm very thankful to be part of Kingsport City Schools, and I love coming to work every day and spending it with amazing students and teachers. If you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them.
I have a couple, and they're more just curiosity questions. I enjoyed the presentation, thank you. Just curious, how many of your babies, like your 6 weeks old, how many of them stay on and, go through the elementary program there?
The majority of them, almost all are future John Adams, kindergarten through 5th grade students.
So by the time they leave as 5th graders, everybody's emotional because they lost a friend.
Very, very much emotional. We've had many of those kids since they were 6 weeks old. Right now we have 23 kids in our ECLC program. We have, I think, 6 infants right now. So those kids start really early, and they will stay with us for the most part.
Okay, that's cool. Your 96.7% attendance, is that just K through 5, or do you count pre-K?
That is just K through 5.
Okay. The murals, were they painted by parents?
No, those were painted by Kathy at Murals and More. Kathy Rudy, I think is her last name.
I was gonna say.
She is fabulous. She has done a lot of work in the district.
They were beautiful. You said you want to close the gap on the socio-economic disadvantage and the special needs. What are your plans to do that?
We meet every 4.5 weeks, and we review data on each of those students. So we're talking about those students by name. We know exactly where they are. We know exactly where they need to be, and we know specific standards and specific skills that they need to improve on. So we're working on that all the time.
Kind of on an individual basis. Yeah, me too. And my last question, sorry guys, is, me.
Yeah, you said a couple.
Well, I said a couple of interests, but anyway, the vending machine, I like that vending machine. I thought that was pretty cool. I hadn't seen that before. Not sure I've seen it anywhere. I like the motivation was doing a token for, the pride and, motivating them through reading instead of eating. But just curiosity, how much does one of those cost?
They're between $4,000 and $5,000 depending on the company, and that's just for the machine.
Not many notes.
No books, but
Okay.
we'll have one very soon. When it happens, I'll invite you out to see.
Oh, please do. Please do. All right, thank you. No more.
And what, to follow up on one of the questions you asked, our benchmark assessments that we are doing, we're getting ready to have one of those. What is really neat is to see the data meeting, when they get that data back and how they break that down. I've been fortunate enough to come in and to observe how they talk about, the data and the kids. It's not numbers. What's important is what I've been able to see is that our principals have all been able to get to this point, is that they translate those numbers down into kids. And kids all the way down to the classroom. Who are the kids that are struggling? It's not a percentage or things of that nature. Trying to be very intentional about the actions that they take. And so I've been really excited to see how our schools are taking that data and operationalizing.
And I did ask a question because I'm on a couple diversity committees in the community, and that seems to be one of our areas is the socio-disadvantaged economic. So, and we're trying to figure out ways to bring them more on par, and so since you already had a plan, that's why I asked that question.
And we collect data daily for our students, but it's really about taking what we have and then making an action plan. And that's what we focus on in those meetings. Not just the data itself, but now what are we going to do in relation to that, and what's our next step going to be for those students?
And that's what I liked when you said you had kind of a plan. You can put ideas out there, but if you're not executing, you don't move forward. So thank you. Sorry, guys, you can ask your questions.
You did fine, thank you, Mr. Hart. Bill, any questions? Thank you, Dr. Harrell, appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Gardner.
He's going to be afraid to speak now.
So Dr. Gardner is our new principal at Robinson. He's new to Robinson, but he's not new to Kingsport. He started his career in Kingsport here at Lincoln, correct? And so we're excited to have Dr. Gardner back in our district team at Robinson Middle School.
Except that you kicked his wife out of Robinson.
Well, we did have this pesky policy that we needed to respect and follow, so.
It's okay, now the severe kids get to know.
As you can see, Dr. Gordon, I have not managed to get all the blue out of my wardrobe yet.
I started out when you were talking to my kids and said, ladies and gentlemen, we ever have an emergency, you will always be able to wear blue every day. So if we ever have that, just say, look for the guy in blue and they'll find you. I want to stress out. So anyway, I really appreciate the opportunity to get to talk with you this evening about Robinson Middle School. It's a jewel. We've had some ups and downs, but I think that as we start moving forward, we're going to be building something very special. We have a vision for where we want to go. And since before I started on July 1st, we've been talking, one of the things that we did, we started a year off, was talking to teachers about what do we need to do to make Robinson a memorable experience for students? What can we do to show our passion for educating students? What do we need to do to come together as a team to focus on the issues that we have? And out of those conversations, we chose a leadership team of veteran teachers within the school that had been there a season or two to try to help guide the ship. So I'm the person speaking to you tonight, but our teachers are very committed and very focused on, number one, being a team, and number two, taking the school to the show. They'll be involved in all the decisions that we make at the school. Their input's very important. They're on the front lines. Sometimes we have to push, sometimes we have to get out of the way. But as we start moving forward, I would hope that when you talk with them, they would say they're a part of the decision making.
Hey, Dr. Cardinal, that, and you may have it in your slides here, but you also might, so while you're new in leadership there, you might need to share with the board who your other members of your administrative team are.
So I was very fortunate to be able to be in on the hiring process to bring Heather Hobbs in as my assistant. Not only was she my daughter's favorite teacher at Johnson when she taught there, she is an esteemed colleague for many people in the district, having both the experience as a teacher at Johnson and also working with Kennedy. So she's had just a little bit of smattering, and knows a lot of families within our school, and so that's been a major help to us. Our associate principal is Dr. McCord, and Sam McCord. He's a gift coming to us. He's absolutely amazing with technology and has a very good rapport with students. So between the two, we have a powerhouse team, and we appreciate the ability to be able to put that together. So thank you for that. I'll give you a small overview of what Robinson, just a few numbers and a few of the dynamic pieces that we have in place. We have 952 students this year and have about 150 RCL students. Now that's different from the beginning of the year. We started out with about 250 RCL students. And we have been working with families over a period of time, trying to help connect with them and trying to bring students back, to be honest. I felt like a lot of people, when they started out on RCL, they may not have been a good fit for them. So we've been in constant contact with families. We've done about almost 50 home visits, working with students just one-on-one at their house. We have been inviting them into school to try to work with them, but we felt that that's a major accomplishment to have 100 students come back at the 9 weeks. We have about 170 special ed students, which is a pretty high number for a school our size, but we, especially since Robinson houses all SLE programs for those grade levels, so we love those students, and I hope that you would come to Robinson and visit our new SLE music program. We had 2 students who have not spoken that were singing this week. And so it's been amazing over about a 4 or 5 week period. The best part is Dr. McCord gets his guitar out and we'll start playing with the kids, and it's pretty phenomenal to watch. But there's been a challenge in working with special needs students when they're remote. And so one of the things we've done is try to make them see students. We've tried to bring them back every day while we're in a hybrid model to make sure that they're able to receive the services they need to stay in the game. New to Robinson, we're about 50% for the first time economically disadvantaged. And that has been a big change over the years. Right? That's not always been the case. If you looked at us 10 to 15 years ago, that number was much lower, but our dynamics in Kingsport are changing. And so that was a pretty surprising number to me looking at that. We do have a lot of outstanding tuition students, but this number is probably one of the most important. The last I put there was we have 683 of our 952 students involved in something beyond just academics. I want that number to grow over my time. I feel like one of the major issues for graduation is the kids are plugged in somewhere with a person besides academics that needs to be plugged in somewhere and have a place to belong. So we'll be working on that number. I would love for us to have be able someday to say every single student is involved in the next extracurricular activity of some sort. And they're getting a lot out of their education. If they belong, they'll graduate. And so that's important for us. We've been rebranding at Robinson. We really have a rebrand our discipline program to try to make sure that we have a lot of positive, but a lot of the other side, we had consequences for behavior that we didn't accept as a part of who we are. And so our leadership team, we came up with SKIP is our acronym there, safe, kind, independent, and productive. And those are our key tenets to what we use in the years to come. We try to work with students and try to make them who we think they can be. Now, that's going to be a part of what we do in all these other parts of the slide, which is going to be looking at our portrait of the graduate. What do we want students to look like when they do this? What skills do they need to have? How do we need to make sure that we're fitting their wants and desires and programming to make sure they achieve what they want to achieve? And so that's really the work that we're starting up on our leadership team in Liaison. Who are our students? What careers in the future do they have? What do we need to do in middle school to make sure that they, but that all starts with their discipline. You know, what can they do and what are they able to do in terms of that? And I think discipline and academics go together. We really want to give Chris model students that he can take and then push further into their interests that they have. We've been working on academic support, and I won't read all of these to you, but part of what we started at Robinson right from the beginning is who's teaching our kids that are behind. You know, who's teaching our kids, and then who are teaching our kids here, and at every level, does every student have a teacher who really has a strength of moving them where they are? That became important to us. And so that's been a lot of work, a lot of conversations. We've moved student schedules around. We have done all kinds of different things to try to put students with the right person who's going to help them move. And so that comes into data we use, it's personalities, it's what students need to have. But some of the best teachers in our school have been teaching the highest kids in the school for a long period of time and haven't helped some of our students that really need extra help. But when we ask those teachers to come on board and teach some of our most struggling students, guess what? I'm in. And they came, and it's been amazing to see what has happened for some of the students who just in that extra quality have in the rigor that teacher brought to them. It's been amazing to see. So we're looking forward to that for the future. Our mission and vision work is really going to inform what we do for the next 5 to 10 years. We have to have a strong mission and vision, and I can tell you right now, our mission and vision is something that has just had a lot of input, and our teachers feel right now that we need to be focusing on academic supports for students who, since we're scattered right now. And so we put a lot of time and effort into an after-school program that our administration is running, and with help from tutoring for teachers, to try to give kids that need a chance to catch up, the ability to catch up. I think we have about 40 football players at one time. You know, we need to take the leaders out of them, and they've been coming, and we have a lot of eligible people because of that. So that's been phenomenal. Some new classes at Robinson. Our academy program, we've retooled that into having kids have opportunities for physical activity during the day. That academy program in the past, I think, has been meant for students who may not be able to get along very well in the regular academic classroom. But what we found out was some of those kids need to move. They need to just have physical activity, set goals for themselves. And so 3 periods a day, starting the second 9 weeks, we have been putting them in what we were going to call advanced conditioning. And so they're working with not only a certified teacher, but a certified teacher at the same time, and working with our total staff to make that work. And it's been a hit. We have more students who want to be a part of that than we have spots. We have 100 who want to be a part of it, and we have 60 spots. But for some of our wigglers, it's happening. And so it's been great for them. We also created a personal finance class. And that's been for students we knew that need to work on basic math to be able to survive in life. And we're measurements, decimals, those types of things that they're going to do. We thought that was really good, and we've had a lot of interest in that. And then we had one of the best creative writing coaches that we brought in as an interim teacher this year. That was her passion, and she's phenomenal. And we were able to bring her in on I guess, lack of a better term like that, COVID extra teacher that we were able to put in to help us with RCL. And she's offering a creative writing class for students. And so that's, we had a student today come down and say, hey, I need this extra push. Could you put me in there, and make that happen? So we were able to do that for all grade levels. Some other things happening in Robinson, I think they're important to note. We have a new Esports Program. If you know Brad Lowe from Eastman, he came to us. He just called me one day and said, "Hey, I think we need to do this. We have some kids disconnected. Can we make this happen?" And so the chamber came on board, Dr. Cinnamon and the chamber, and we created our first Esports Team. And so out of the gates, we have about 120 kids interested. And we're down with grades and everything else, we're down to about 90. But we had 3 faculty sponsors step up to volunteer their time to make that happen for kids this year. So we're really proud of that. And Goblins benefits also come on board with that. We reopened band, orchestra, and chorus for RCL students. And so they're just taking time during their day to come in and in their schedule to come in and have that opportunity. And that's been important for those families not to lose that opportunity. We started our chamber leadership program. The chamber is sponsoring that, and that's going to be something where we spend a lot of time with students talking about what we're doing at our school and how we can do better. And we feel like that's going to be positive. We'll be doing walkthroughs this month. And then really for, when we talked earlier, Dr. Carroll about differentiating subgroups, that's obviously a big focus for us, as well, especially our needy population. If I had $25,000, first and foremost, this year has taught us a lot in the need for having a family or part-time family liaison to work with all the different, we have a lot of resources in our community, but connecting those to families is a struggle at times, and just being able to manage that piece, looking at our attendance, looking at those opportunities for students, that would be a huge help for us. We would like extra seats in our Read 180 and Math 180 and a kit for our interventions. What that would do is help us interview the students that are having math and reading issues. We would also want to run Saturday programming on Saturday mornings. We already have a Saturday morning program, but we would want to run that for them during that time. And I'm a nuts and bolts guy, if you don't know, and I would love to have a locking gate fence back between our track and the back of the school to where we could separate that immediately, because we have custodians and people that are blind spot back there to just keep everyone safe, or we can lock that and practice it. We have a lot of people in the community that walk through that back here, and it creates an issue. So, the last is thank yous. I have a tremendous faculty and staff. They're very committed to doing what we need them to do. They do not complain. They work tirelessly. They're on the phone with me at 9 o'clock. They're worried about kids. They're emailing all day and all night. They truly are invested in their kids. My admin team is phenomenal. We talked about them. I have tremendous support from all these people sitting up here. I can't do it alone. It's a call to Andy or Jen or Ryan or Jeff. When we're trying to deal with different issues and they're there, they pick up the phone. They're committed to helping us get the answers that we need in order for you to be able to do your job and my job. And so I appreciate that. Our curriculum team, Dr. String and Dr. Simmons and Dr. Arnold, all of them are working with us to try to just push students forward. We have the data we need. We have opportunities for teachers to meet with someone who can help them design what they need to do and how we can do better. And we're really proud of the work that's going on in our collaboratives with teachers. It's powerful work. And lastly, thanks for having me back.
Go ahead. Ms. Byers?
You always know I have something to say. I only have 2 questions for you.
Sure.
I promise it's all I wrote down. But I agree with you, Heather Hobbs is awesome. We're a Johnson family too, so we love her too. And Red looks pretty cool. Anyway, the 683 students that are involved, that's 683 unique students, it's not double counting or anything, right?
No,
So there's basically 300 kids that we still need to
Yeah,
find the passion.
we do, and, we have to find some things that are low-hanging fruit for them, that there's not a lot of, time commitment or transportation for them to be able to be involved, but we have to work on that, and that's part of that equity piece that we need to have. It's really important for them to feel like they belong.
So we try sometimes they're riding the bus when they get there early or at lunchtime or something where they've got,
We have.
well, you've got them fun.
Yeah, we have programming in the morning. When they get their bus ride, we have opportunities for them in the morning. It's really that after-school piece, and having something that's high interest enough that they would want to stay and be a part of.
Okay, my other question is, it's on the baseball field. If you put a lock on it, that wouldn't prevent people from still using the baseball field for practice or anything. It's just that back where it's coming out, right?
It's really that side, we could, if you look on the back, we went and measured it, and looked at it a couple of weeks ago, and tried to see, there's no real prevention of someone being able to use the facility. It would not make it very easy after we close the gate at night for people to be hidden back there in the dark, to be able to get through. We have staff coming out on the other side. And it's, we just have a lot of people from the community coming onto our campus and using that as a walkthrough. They can still use the track on that side, especially if we're having games and people are coming in on that side. We would have a way to kind of just shut that off for a period of time. So I see that as a need, this is security, and we have people going out at 11 o'clock in the parking lot. I don't know.
You don't want stragglers hanging out there,
That's
so.
correct. I mean, we've had to run few people off on duty during the day. We just want to make sure that our communities are safe and our kids.
Well, I appreciate you doing this. I think there's some great programs that are going on. I noticed that robotics wasn't mentioned here.
Robotics, I didn't have time to mention.
I was going to say, because it's,
Robotics, science Olympiad, math counts, all of those are all going on. Robotics is going to be starting pretty soon. I know that. But Dr. Sim, we talked about that. It's probably going to be starting on November and maybe fall. So that's a great program.
yeah, with the States last year, it's a shining jewel there. And I know it, a lot of these kids that you're trying to reach out to that aren't part of a student organization, they clamor that it's something that interests them. So I appreciate you doing all of that. Anxious to see how that esports works out. It seems like you'll drive every boy there is in the school.
Yeah, we had
Child,
we had a lot of response, and I think that going in, we know we're doing a trial right now, but in the spring, we're going to try to, form a team, have uniforms, have everything we're going to do, plus a physical requirement that they need to work out and do something for an hour a day. We'll sponsor that, but they can stay and do that. So, Coach Fry and I talked about just having some conditioning time, walking time, in the spring while he's doing spring football. So, try that out, do some time with it. I did want you to notice that we have the Severe Robinson Trophy there on the bottom. We thought that we would enjoy that for this year because judging by the number of times you've been on there, you better enjoy it. So, it's good.
I didn't mean it as in girls don't play video games. I just mean my girls don't play any video games, all my boys do. The sport. But I love the idea that you're incorporating physical things as well, and it's not just.
Yeah.
It might be beneficial as well if you look at that as a programming class to plug into, so they understand.
We do have a programming class as a part of our regular day.
Yeah.
And that's still going strong. We have it's cool.
Yeah, I would say plug it into the sport so they understand the whole pathway, which makes it.
And what we would love to do is to also work in VR. And at some point where, because that will be how games are played in the next 10 years, of all the virtual experience. So that's a dream of mine for our middle schools to have a VR program and use coding, that video game, and also just the industrial uses of VR and stuff with that. So, but we have to raise some money for that and work with that. But I think we have a plan. It's just going to take some time.
Good. Well, thank you guys for setting the benchmark so high for your other colleagues. You did a great job, and I truly appreciate you taking the time to do this, share that wonderful information about your school. Dr. Fryer, David, I just gave you a term of agreement. Tell us about our audit.
Good evening. We had the audit of our internal accounts for June 30, 2020. So really good audit this year. It was performed by Brown Edwards and Company, and this is the 9th year that they have done our audit, which includes doing the City of Esports audit also. As I said, we had a really good audit report this year. We had 7 schools that had no audit findings. Really proud of that. We did get an unqualified opinion on the audit report. The fund balances for all the schools combined were $1,063,000. That was a net increase of just a little bit over $44,000 from the previous year. All schools took in $1,545,000 in revenue and had expenses of $1,496,000. This was a decrease in 2020, $630,000 in revenue and $655,000 in expenditures, which is quite a large amount on an annual basis for an increase or a decrease. But I can tell you that the decrease in the activity and revenue expenditures was directly due to COVID-19. That hit in March. There were a lot of field trips that didn't happen. Neither of our middle schools went on the Washington, D.C. trips, which is a very large revenue and expense for that. So, and of course, a lot of the spring or all the spring sports were canceled last year. We cleared up all the previous year findings that were in the audit, in previous audit reports. We had 3 new findings. One has to do with uncollected checks that had not been written off. Most of those were for where we had issued some refunds for some field trips that there were checks that we had received for field trips that field trips had been canceled and so forth that we didn't need to collect the funds anyway. If we had collected them, we were refunding them. So that's been corrected, and we've got procedures in place to take care of that in the future. Another finding is that there was an oversight in getting the board to approve the authorized signatures on the bank accounts. There was one signature at the high school that was left off, although they were authorized at the bank. There just wasn't one of the 3 angles of resolutions to the board. There was just one signature on the high school resolution that was missing. And the other one had to do with an instance where one of the checks, just one check at a school, did not have those signatures as required. All activity account checks required 2 signatures, and there was one check that got through that only had 1 signature. So that is a quick summary of our balances and revenue expenditures and findings. really proud of the folks that work on that at each of the individual schools. Loretta Nixon in the finance department does a great job in working with the folks at the schools and giving them guidance and training new folks that come in. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions, Mr. Crowe?
It's just awful. We should be terribly embarrassed by that report. I'm joking. With the number of school systems the number of schools we have, the amount of money going through our system, that's a pretty impressive report. Thank you for the detail in doing it, and kudos to all the staff that manages all the funds so diligently.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. I know our bookkeeper work. I mean, everybody understands the risk associated with handling money. And so, so the detail that they go into to make sure that we do it right.
That's not, most of them, that's not their training. That's not,
Right.
what
Right.
they're skilled in doing. So they're doing it because they're smart and capable and that they have passion for it. And I mean, it is scary handling other people's money and knowing how many eyes are looking at it. So, yeah, kudos.
So do we have some sort of process of public affirmation, particularly for those schools that have, the 7 schools that have?
We do not have.
This is exciting to me as getting the hundreds on the health ratings in the cafeteria and things like that. I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal.
We don't have any formal process. I mean, individually we try and
Okay.
sing the praises in the finance department, but yes, this is a very good audit report. In all my years here, I've never had, one with all the 7 schools that haven't had findings. We usually had, I know we cleared up one finding on here that had been here for 7 or 8 years. That's been cleared up. These folks take pride in not having any findings. They kind of get upset a little bit when they do have a finding, but so, yes, this is a very good report. Thank you.
Rick, this is your headline for tomorrow. This is your job.
Yeah, public affirmation.
Yes.
That concludes our agenda for this work session. We stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Good job, Nate.
Good job.